Congressman, just back from the border here, the House wants the Senate to pass HR2, which would do a number of things: resume building the border wall. It would also deport and detain every undocumented immigrant. I believe reinstate the remain in Mexico policy. This bipartisan deal in the Senate's kind of simmering over there, might be coming out. We're not sure if that's the case. It talks about limits on asylum, expedited removal. Question is there a compromise that you would accept between both of these ideas?
We don't need to talk about compromise today. We need HR2. It was a very strong border bill that we passed out of the House, and we expect the Senate to pass it as part of any negotiated deal. HR2 is the deal.
Is there any piece of that you'd be willing to set on the side just to get something on the scoreboard?
I'm not negotiating with myself, Jason. Let's pass HR2, which is a very strong border bill. HR2 is the deal.
There have been some of your colleagues, I believe a number of your colleagues, and maybe even you, who say, listen, if this does not get passed, they've had it for 7 months. If it doesn't pass by January 19th, when the government runs out of money, we're not going to fund the government. Where are you on that?
Jason, I was just at the border with the Speaker yesterday. We heard that the Border Patrol's job is to simply process illegal immigrants for transfer into the interior. 90% of the illegal immigrants in the Del Rio sector are eventually transferred into the interior of the United States. They're not securing our border. They're simply transporting illegal immigrants into the United States.
But the governor of Texas is doing that too by busing people and by flying people to different sanctuary cities.
But wait a minute, New York, 80% of the illegal immigrants that go to New York are federally transported. Only 19% come out of Texas.
Let me ask you again about this government shutdown that could happen on January 19th, where everyone hopes it doesn't happen.
Right.
But do you support shutting down the federal government if there are no changes on the border?
We must secure our border. This is one of the two existential threats to our republic. We must secure the border. The deal is we secure the border before we do anything else. We must secure the border.
It sounds to me like that you would be in favor of not funding the government until this border gets secured.
I'm not in favor of any government shutdown, but we must secure the border.
Let me ask you about the White House proposal, $14 billion supplemental spending package. It would put 1,300 more Customs and Border Patrol agents on the ground, hire others to seek out fentanyl. Why shouldn't Republicans consider part of that at least and then ask for more?
Because it's not an issue of money. How do we change the behavior of a lawless president is what we're looking for. How do we do that? How do we change the behavior of a president who doesn't need more money, who doesn't need more policy? He simply needs to do as he said he would do when he raised his right hand: secure the border, execute the laws of the United States. How do we do that? The only thing that Washington responds to is either force or money. The power of the purse is the House of Representatives' job. We must use the power of the purse.
You've been to the border numerous times. Anything surprise you on this visit?
It did. That the role of the Border Patrol is actually to process as quickly as they can illegal immigrants for transfer into the interior of the United States. That's shocking fact.
As far as remain in Mexico goes, I mean, that's something that you think the president could sign an executive order on and reinstate immediately?
He could, because he took it off on day one, I believe, of his tenure. Day one, he took it off. He can reinstitute it tomorrow.
I want to ask you about Ukraine funding. It's also at stake. That's also a country you've been to. If this border deal doesn't get passed by January 19th, should Ukraine continue to get funding to fight Russia? And if so, how would it get funding to do that?
Frankly, we secure our border, then we can talk about Ukraine funding. We can talk about everything, but we're going to secure the border.
What do you expect happens January 19th? Is this going to be solved by then?
I think it will probably pass with more Democrat votes than Republican votes. I think that is the outcome in January.
You think what will pass, HR2 or what?
No, I don't think HR2 will pass. Some watered-down version of some negotiated agreement will pass with more Democrat votes than Republicans, because there is a committed group of Republicans, I don't know how many, that are going to stand firm on this but I believe it will pass with more Democrat votes than Republican votes. We've seen it happen 3 times during 2023, so I'm not optimistic of Republicans standing firm as a conference.
Congressman, on Wednesday, a congressional committee will hold hearings on whether to impeach the Homeland Security Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas. There's a narrow Republican majority. You can't afford to lose anybody on there. But if and when this gets to the floor, do you think there will be enough votes to impeach Mayorkas?
I hope there will be, because we've had one opportunity to impeach Secretary Mayorkas in 2023. It failed. But the overwhelming evidence, I mean, look at the last 2 weeks in the Del Rio sector. They were so overwhelmed, they had no border control agents in the field. Every single one of them was in the office doing paperwork. That was what we saw in the last 2 weeks. I think that might change the equation for the Republican conference, that yes, it's time to admit that Mayorkas is derelict in his duties. We need to impeach him.
You think that will get enough votes, considering
I hope
the
so.
numbers we've seen?
I hope so.
What are the top things you think that would fix the massive number of migrants that are coming across the border?
Do something, because it doesn't have to be perfect. Once they know that we are serious with the migrant protection protocols, remain in Mexico, the safer nation, any number of things, if we instituted them, it would stop the flow. As long as they know we're serious. It doesn't have to be perfect, but they have to know we're serious.
Congressman, thank you.
Very good. Thank you.